The American Revolution is often told as a solo miracle, but the truth is harsher. Without France, the United States might not have survived the war. France did not join because it loved freedom in America. France joined because it wanted to weaken Britain after a painful defeat. In 1776, the Patriots had ideals, but ideals do not buy gunpowder and food. An army needs boots, blankets, medicine, and steady pay. It also needs ships because Britain ruled the ocean. If Britain controlled the sea, it could choke the colonies like a fist. Britain could blockade ports and stop trade in a single season. So the Americans needed an ally with money, ships, and global reach. France was the most dangerous and the most useful possible partner. To understand France, start with the 7 Years' War. France lost badly and watched Britain grow richer and stronger. French leaders carried that loss like a scar on the map of Europe. When rebellion started in America, France saw an opening. But France also saw risk, because rebels can fail and disappear. A failed bet would waste gold and invite British revenge. So France began in secret, not in public. French agents used private companies and hidden shipping routes. They sent muskets, powder, uniforms, and cash across the Atlantic. These shipments were not famous, but they saved lives in real camps. A soldier with no shoes cannot march, even with perfect ideas. A cannon without powder is just a heavy piece of metal. So secret French aid kept the rebellion breathing in its weakest months. In Paris, the Americans needed a face for their request. Benjamin Franklin became that face in a way only Franklin could. He was wise, calm, and famous, and he understood public image. French society loved symbols, and Franklin became a living symbol. But behind the dinners and salons, the questions were cold and strict. France asked one main question: can the Americans actually win battles? France did not want to fund a beautiful failure. France wanted Britain trapped in a long and costly war. Early on, that outcome was not guaranteed at all. The Continental Congress had big plans, but weak taxation and weak cash flow. Paper money lost value, and prices rose fast in many towns. Armies desert when hunger becomes routine and pay becomes a rumor. Washington fought not only British troops, but also logistics every day. Meanwhile, Britain could move soldiers by sea and strike where it wanted. Britain could hit ports, burn supplies, and then sail away. That is why naval power mattered so much from the start. France waited for proof, and proof arrived at Saratoga. At Saratoga, a British army surrendered, and the world noticed. This victory told France the rebellion was real, not just loud. After Saratoga, France stepped into the open. In 1778, France recognized the United States as a nation. France signed an alliance and promised to fight Britain directly. Now Britain faced a global war, not a local rebellion. France could threaten Britain in Europe and in the Caribbean too. Britain had to spread ships across oceans like a thin blanket. That spread made every British decision more expensive and more risky. France also brought loans, subsidies, and steady financial support. Money kept troops in the field and kept suppliers willing to sell. Even when shortages continued, French funds prevented total collapse. France also sent soldiers and experienced officers. Rochambeau led a French army that worked with Washington. This partnership was not easy because allies have different goals. France wanted Britain weakened and wanted influence after the war. America wanted full independence and control of its own future, but both sides needed victory, and victory demanded coordination. Then the war moved toward its most famous trap, Yorktown. Yorktown is often told as Washington's triumph alone. In reality, Yorktown depended on French power at sea. Admiral de Grasse brought a French fleet to the Chesapeake Bay. That fleet blocked British ships from rescuing Cornwallis. This naval block was like locking a door during a fire. Cornwallis could not escape, and reinforcements could not arrive. French troops also fought on land beside American troops. The combined force tightened the ring and closed every path out. When Cornwallis surrendered, Britain's political will cracked. Britain could keep fighting, but the price looked unbearable. Britain also faced threats in other theaters beyond North America. A long war now looked like a global bleeding wound for the empire. So Yorktown changed the argument inside Britain's government. It made victory look doubtful and defeat look possible. That is why France mattered, because it changed the entire war's math. Without French ships, Yorktown might have ended in a British escape. Without Yorktown, the war might have dragged for years longer. Long wars crush revolutions through fatigue and broken finances. There is also an irony that history loves to repeat. A monarchy helped a republic be born to weaken another monarchy. The motives were selfish, but the outcome reshaped the world. France paid a heavy cost because the war strained French finances. That strain added pressure inside France and fed later crisis. So the American Revolution also helped shake France in return. As America 250 approaches, France deserves a clear place in the story. America won battles, but it also won an alliance. And that alliance turned a fragile rebellion into a nation that could survive. If you want more stories like this, like the video and subscribe to History Refuge.